Hi guys, it's Clarissa and welcome to another video tutorial with me. In this video we are going to be doing loose florals, but also fun, and this is beginner friendly and with a slight twist. So loose watercolor florals, and we're going to do a little bit of graphic black pen illustration on it. Alright, so really quickly, my supplies. I am using the flat brush number 8 by Zen Art Supplies. I'm using the Princeton Neptune number 6 round, the Etcher graphic pens in the number 3. I've got my paper by Legion Stonehenge, the Aqua Cold Press 300 GSM. I've got my 36 set of White Knights on the side. I have my palette by Lysiat's ready, and I have water ready. Really quickly, if you are looking for the items that I'm using over here, they're all listed in the description below, so feel free to check that out over there. Okay, so we are going to start off by doing these. I'm going to show you how to do these loose florals, and from there we're going to allow it to dry, and then we'll do the little illustration on it. So I'm going to start off by mixing some of my turquoise. That's what I wanted. So I'm mixing a little bit of my turquoise here. And we're going to do these nice little turquoise flowers and perhaps get some nice mauve purple ones in there too. I think that would be a nice blend if you want to do more of those. So the first thing I want to do is get this muted color on my flat brush, and we're going to lay down a nice circular kind of shape with the color, and then we'll go in with the number 6 and we'll add more of darker tones at the edges and stuff like that, so we get a nice blend. All right, so here we go. I'm going to start off by sort of figuring out exactly where I want to do my flower. So let's do the flower somewhere around this area here first. And so here we go. So I'm just going to do this all the way around in a circular fashion. We want to leave the white space on the inside so it's nice and white and open for us to do other things with. All right, perfect. So now I'm going to go in with my number 6. I'm going to get some of that turquoise, and I'm going to start adding this turquoise at the edges, leaving some areas open. Some I'll kind of bring them downward. I'm going to add some over here as well. We want to allow the color to blend in and do its thing without us doing much. So like over here, I need to help it just a little bit more, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And some areas, what you can also do is introduce that blue that I was talking about. So for instance, some of these areas are still a little bit dry, so not still, they've dried up already because maybe I didn't have enough water or whatever. So I'm just going to get some more of that muted blend of color and reactivate these areas. And then we'll go in with our blue. And we'll just add some blue starting from the centers here. Making sure we've got our color directly from our color cakes, guys. So we've got a nice blend. And what I'm doing is just, first of all, trying to get that blend in from the center, and then it's kind of fanning out in the lower part. And now I'm going to go at the top and just kind of push that color down. So we've got a nice beautiful blend of 2 different colors. And then adding a little bit of that blend happening here too. All right, and now we will move on to our next flower, which we'll do off to the side here. And again, as I mentioned, let's do a blend of maybe like a mauve or some sort of purpley color. That would go nicely with this flower right here. So I'm going to get some of my, Quin Lilac. I'm going to add that on here, but I'm going to mix white with it so I can get a nice muted tone for it. Okay, so it's a lighter version, and again we're doing the same thing. That we did over here at the top, so really watered down, and now we're going to do the same exact thing on this side here. So if you want to make this one a tad bit smaller in comparison to the other flower, the blue one, you can do that. I've deliberately come here in this area so I can get some of that blue happening into my flower and like a nice little pretty blend, which is what it's doing right now. And I'm just adding some darker strokes in a couple of these areas here. So we've got a nice muted tone with more detail. Now I'm getting some of my Quin Lilac, and we're going to do the exact same thing that we did for the center over here on one side. And now let's get some of that at the top as well. Pull some of that color down in some areas for some petals, so we get a nice, again, blend. Right? Now for this lower part, what I want to do is add a little bit of carmine. So here we go with the carmine, guys. I'm going to get some of that carmine using my number 6, and then we're going and adding that over here firstly. I'm going to get some more of that, just kind of spread it around. This area seemed to have dried up already, so I'm just going to cheat a little and reactivate some of this. Allow this color to sort of spread around. And then getting some more of that carmine and just maybe adding it to some other areas here in our flower. And now once this is done, we're going to put our brushes aside, allow this to dry. Oh, actually, before putting brushes aside, let's do the leaves really quickly. So for the leaves, I really like how rich these colors are, and it would be nice to have a nice little pop of color. So I'm going to use my olive green into this, and then we'll use some darker tones of green to kind of enhance things some more. So right away, let's just get some happening in areas that are slightly still damp. So I'm going to get some over here. Dipping the tip of my brush in water, I'm going to sort of lightly do the next side of this. Do another one here really quickly. And we'll do some right at the top there. They're not really touching any of the flower per se, but this one is. And then I'm just loosely kind of adding some strokes to kind of have it blend out. So enough of the of the olive green, we're going to move on to doing our darker green. And for that, I'm going to mix some of my emerald. I'll mix it in with the olive green that we have. And then I want to mix some of my umber and get that nice darker hue. So we've got like these two different tones happening. And then right away, we want to just add that blend within the leaves. So I'm going to do things like this, just kind of adding it at the area where it is touching our flower first and foremost. And then towards the bottom, maybe a little bit at the edge of the tip of the leaves as well, giving us a nice blend. And now we're gonna paint proper leaves in this darker tone. So I'm gonna get a little bit of a stem here and just do a nice loose leaf. Those who are new to leaves, if you've not done any of my beginner leaf videos, I suggest you try it. I think you'd find this a lot easier if you give that a shot. For this leaf right here, I've just added more water to my brush so it's looser and lighter as I touch this protruding leaf here already, and also kind of touching this leaf right here. And so we're getting like this beautiful blend of different greens happening. So I want the more I do these leaves, the more I want them to be lighter as they're going outward. And so I keep dipping the tip of my brush in water every time I do this area here. We're going to go and do some over here on this side. And let's do a little bit over here on this side here. Feel free to get more color if you need it. Some daintier looking leaves, maybe just kind of going lighter as we go downward. And then again, like I mentioned, I'm washing off most of the color and then just doing lighter kind of strokes around here so that when it dries up, it's going to sort of blend in with one another, but then it's giving us that whole gradient effect, and then also the impression that everything, it's nice and full with the leaves. That is the idea here. So I'm going to extend a little bit here and add some more of that because we've got ample enough space really. And you can see how it's fading out, right? This is turning out to be like a full class instead of me just showing you a technique. And then we are also doing our little fluffing by adding tiny little dots here and there to make sure it looks nice and loose. I'm going to do some over here too, some right where the leaf is. You could do a quick splatter if you want to. I'm going to do a splatter at the end anyways. I'm just adding some of this detail here. So this is like more of a very loose, abstract-y kind of style. And this is best for not only people who've been doing watercolor for a while, but also if you're new to it and you've never really tried it. This gives you room to sort of make mistakes without really looking at it as right or wrong. You're exploring, you're kind of getting used to your brushes, you're getting some nice brush control, you're learning how to like deal with the water while creating something pretty in a loose fashion. So it's all about learning how to loosen up as well. I'm just kind of, I've really watered down my brush now, and I'm just doing the same exact thing that I was doing previously with the darker tone. All right, so it's looking nice and pretty. We're gonna allow this to dry, and then we're gonna go in with our brushes and, our pens, and do the little detailing. Actually, really quickly before we do that, we should be doing one more thing, and that is the centers. So for the centers, we're gonna use the raw sienna for our centers really quickly. And so I'm getting some raw sienna directly onto my number 6. And then we're going to add some of that right here in a very loose sort of circular shape. Notice I'm leaving some white space as well. And I'm trying to make the edges look a little fluffy. And by fluffy, I mean wavy. So it's almost like giving it a little bit of a wave to make it look like an inside flower almost. Same thing here. Perfect. Now, once this is dried up a little bit, if you want to add a little bit of the Mars brown, you can. I'm going to try and add that right now. Let's see what happens. Because some of it is pooling, so I don't want to make sure. If it's pooling and you're adding the color, then it will sort of not do its thing. But I don't mind it right now. It looks okay. Just want a little bit of darker hues happening in certain areas here. Okay, that's it. Now we allow this to dry, and then we're going to go back in and use our pens. All right, so it's fairly dried up. The centers need a little bit more time in some areas over here, but it's dried up enough that I can sort of start at least the petals, and then we can go from there. So we're gonna take the number 3, as I mentioned, and graphic pen by Etcher. And I'm going to start off by adding some detail in the areas where it's light. So for instance, this area right here is light, and so I'm gonna start by doing little lines that go in the direction of the petal. So I'm starting close at the bottom, and then I'm kind of fanning it out a little bit. And then you can even do the edges if you want. Do my next one here. They're like unevenly spaced, but pretty much repeated in the same direction and fashion, in the general direction and fashion. And this repetition is what makes it stand out and cute looking. So I'm going to do one here. Now, if you've signed up for the Hello Clarice G challenge for this year, we've got something very similar there as well. So make sure you sign up. I will add that link to the bottom, especially if you are a keen watercolor explorer, learner who loves a good challenge artistically. So you could go all the way around, but I like the idea of just keeping some of them open. And so I'm going to keep some of them open and then just do it in certain petals. So for instance, like this one looks attractive to me. I'll make it seem like this is behind this guy here. And I'm just kind of adding my lines. There we go. I'll do one here as well, but let's start off with the blue. So for the blue, let's start with these guys here. And so I'm going to start off by, same idea. Oops, this one kind of went too close. And then just covering that top up. So we've got one there. I'll add more lines in there for sure once these guys over here dry up better. Then let's just do one here. All you're doing is just drawing in these lines, and then where the shape ends that makes it look like it's one petal, just do the top curve for it. I'll definitely be adding more lines there because I find the more lines you have, the nicer it looks. So here we go. Let's just add a little bit more here. And it's really uneven, which again, I really like. So you can see the difference. You can have some room to breathe and then some that's just really close. Let's do, let's continue on over here actually. And you can also do some of this for your leaves, or you may choose to leave your leaves open. I will give you guys that option. You can decide how you want to tackle that. And this is all there is to it. So it's all about getting your nice blends of color and then going in with your graphic pen and adding in a little bit of detail here to kind of really make your flowers pop. And for the leaves, yeah, I'll just do one so you have an idea of what that entails. So for instance, if we just do this leaf right here, this one's calling out my name. And we just do very basic lines, really. The veins of the leaf. And I'm not going all the way down, just on that one. We need a little bit more of the center to dry up, but we can sort of start that before it's dried up anyways, because some of it is still damp in areas that we don't need right away. But for the centers, what I would suggest doing is adding a couple of little circles, just like this, uneven all around. And you can really get lost into this detail here, because once you start, you just kind of can't stop. And what I would also suggest is adding maybe a second line, depending on how much detail you want to add. I'm just going to do a second one, kind of just piggybacking off of the little circles that we already added in. And I'm not going to do the whole center, just certain areas to kind of really enhance. So I'll leave the rest of it open-ended, kind of like what we've done with our petals here. Yeah, and that's it. I'm going to make the rest of this a time lapse, but this is my full tutorial for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as I have lots of other videos like this, and definitely check out the challenge, guys. If you like watercolor, if you want to explore it, definitely check out the challenge. We've got a lot more fun like this on there and a great community of artists. So thanks for watching, guys, and tag me in your work on social media, Instagram, Facebook. Everything is noted below. And we will chat soon. Bye.